Good, happy Sunday morning, October 25th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Sunday morning, so let's begin. First up, we're going to begin with COVID-19 updates. New Hampshire records most cases in a day in more than 5 months. 2 new deaths reported. Let's take a listen to that video from WNUR News 9.
Hey everybody, Senator Lindsey Graham here. Help me if you can. My opponent has been endorsed by Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton.
Tonight, new warnings about potential community exposure to COVID-19 at 3 businesses across the state. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Charisse LeClaire. DHHS says people may have been exposed to the virus at Patty's American Grill in Portsmouth between October 12th and 16th, at La Vista Italian Cuisine in Lincoln at the bar area from October 17th to the 22nd, and at Concord Casino in Concord at the gaming table area on October 14th. There are 129 new cases of COVID-19 in New Hampshire tonight. That number includes 18 cases that are part of an outbreak at a long-term care facility. The state has not released the name of that facility just yet. Today saw the highest number of daily new cases since May 20th. Now, as the numbers have been rising this fall, there is also 4 times more testing happening than back in the spring. The total number of cases is now 10,238. Nearly 1,000 are current. There are 2 new deaths to report tonight connected to long-term care facilities. DHHS says as people try to live a more normal life, they are seeing an increase in transmission, but they are urging people not to get COVID fatigue.
People want to go back to their regular business in the way life was pre-COVID, and we're just not there yet. So we do want people to try and have as normal a life as possible. It's good for our mental well-being and social well-being, and all of those aspects of our lives are really important. We want people to get back to that, but we have to do it as safely as possible.
In the meantime, if you were at one of those establishments that may be linked to community exposure on those days and times listed, health officials say monitor yourself for symptoms and get tested.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your coronavirus in New Hampshire important information and latest graphs. And here is a look at that for all of you right now. There are 10,238 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. 8,571,943 number of people in the United States have tested positive. 473 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 765 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire, and 771 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. Let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. In Manchester, 126. And let's take a look at this map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 2361. And now let's take a look at these 3 charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red, deaths. Now let's take a look at this chart here. Current cases. In the purple, total current COVID-19 cases. And in the orange, current hospitalizations. And let's take a look at this chart here. Total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. Red, deaths. And blue, recovered. And let's take a look at this chart here. Positive PCR test rate and daily PCR test. And now let's take a look at this chart here. Age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. Let's take a look at this chart here. Infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here. Deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, chills, difficult breathing, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for all the latest of your COVID-19 information. DHHS warned of a potential COVID-19 exposure linked to 3 more establishments. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9. Sorry about that, we do not have that video for you right now. State health officials are warning patrons of possible COVID-19 exposures linked to several New Hampshire businesses. DHHS says it has conducted contact investigations in all cases linked to these potential community exposures and is notifying close contacts directly. But there may be others exposed at these locations during certain days and times. A person who tested positive for COVID-19 was at the Concord Casino located at the Draft Sports Bar and Grill, 67 South Main Street in Concord. While potentially infectious, the draft was also announced as a potential community exposure Friday night. Potential community exposure occurred in the Concord Casino in the gaming table area during the evening of Wednesday, October 14th. Concord Casino operators wrote on Facebook, as has been reported, we had a group come in who had tested positive, so out of abundance of caution, we will be closed this week. We will see you all soon. One person who tested positive for the virus visited Patty's American Grill, located at 27 International Drive, Portsmouth, while potentially infectious. DHHS says potential community exposure occurred in the bar area on Monday, October 12th, Tuesday, October 13th, Wednesday, October 14th, and Thursday, October 15th, and Friday, October 16th. A person who tested positive visited La Vista Italian Cuisine, located at the Riverwalk Resort at Loon Mountain, 22 South Mountain Drive, Lincoln. Potential exposure occurred during the afternoon and evening on Sunday, October 17th, Saturday, October 17th, Sunday on October 18th, Tuesday, October 20th, and Thursday, October 22nd. When reached by phone Saturday evening, a voice recording at La Vista Italian Cuisine tells patrons the business is closed this weekend due to a precautionary measures. Kamala Harris's husband campaigns in New Hampshire one day before President Trump rally. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
In times like these, we're all spending more time with family and more time working our land. Been here before on this campaign, not only in person, but also virtually.
Democrats taking a different approach to campaigning during the pandemic. Doug Emhoff, husband to Kamala Harris, represents the Biden-Harris ticket during an outdoor, limited-capacity event in Manchester, while the Democratic nominees themselves focus their attention in other states.
We've been showing up. I've been here many times last year, this year. Kamala, we take this state very seriously. We're doing the work. We're going to continue to do the work for these next, 10 days.
Neither Biden or Harris have traveled to the Granite State since the days of the Democratic primary. Meantime, the New Hampshire Trump campaign is gearing up for another rally with the president on Sunday.
Anybody who understands New Hampshire and the Biden campaign pretends to understand New Hampshire knows that they can't handle New Hampshire like an absentee landlord when it comes to politics here. We expect to see our candidates.
We've got a president and a vice president parading around the country doing super spreaders, and it's totally irresponsible. This campaign is responsible, and that shows how they will run the country when we put them in office.
There were 0 confirmed cases of COVID-19 linked to the president's August rally in New Hampshire. Emhoff calls the Trump administration's handling of coronavirus as a total failure.
With Joe and Kamala, you've got 2 leaders who are ready on day one with plans, and they're going to move us out of this. Plus, they're going to unify us.
We're not going to lose by 2,736 votes this cycle. That's all the margin was. 2,736. The thinnest of margins, and this time people are energized, we're energized, and we will deliver the state for the president.
In Manchester, Siobhan Lopez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And today, Trump is set to visit New Hampshire today as top of Democratic tickets set site elsewhere. President to hold a second rally in the Granite State in 2 months. He was back in New Hampshire in August, and he'll be back in New Hampshire today. Last week, Vice President Mike Pence was in New Hampshire. President Donald Trump will return to New Hampshire on Sunday today for his second visit to the Granite State in the past 2.5 months. Vice President Mike Pence has also been a regular visitor to New Hampshire. In the meantime, Democrat presidential candidates and former Vice President Joe Biden and his running mate, U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, have been spending time elsewhere. The first-in-the-nation primary set Trump on his path to the White House, and on the eve of 2016 election, he rallied thousands at SNHU Arena. The Trump campaign is investing in New Hampshire, said Trump advisor. We feel we can expand the map. We want to reach out to not only Republicans, but Democrats and Independents. On Sunday, the president will be doing a sequel to his last August rally at an open airport hangar in Manchester. The Republican ticket has showered attention on New Hampshire in stark contrast to Biden and Harris, neither of whom has been back since the days of the Democratic primary. But yesterday, on Saturday, Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, made a second visit to the state. He was most recently in New Hampshire in September alongside aspiring First Lady Jill Biden. Democrats reject the connection that the Biden campaign doesn't care as much about New Hampshire as Trump does. The rhetoric that we're hearing is a message from Trump that he really doesn't care about people in this country, said Democrat campaign advisor Jim Dimsmer. We are 7 months into this COVID pandemic. The lack of visits from Biden or Harris likely comes down to simple strategy. The polls have this race much closer in other states, and that's where the Democrat nominee is investing his time. But Trump, there seems to be something about New Hampshire that goes beyond the numbers. Observantly, the base who loves him dearly here because they know he personally and they really want to get out and work with him, said WMUR political reporter John DeStastos. I think it's really going to be an emotional event on Sunday. It very well could be his last stop here before the election. Deputy Secretary of State advised Granite Staters to return absentee ballots as soon as possible. Let's take a listen to that video right now. Deputy Secretary of State advises Granite Staters to return absentee ballots as soon as possible. Previous record for absentee ballots cast already shattered. Voters are casting absentee ballots in record numbers ahead of the November 3rd election. But the Secretary of State's office says time is running short for those who want to send in their ballots by mail. Deputy Secretary of State David Scanlon said on Friday his office officially cautions that 14 days should be allowed to make sure the absentee ballot arrive on time through the mail, which would mean that ballots now should be hand-delivered. My experience is that the mail is moving faster than that, he said. But I'd say if you get within a week of the election, you might want to consider dropping it off in person at the clerk's office, Scanlon said. Scanlon said officials of the U.S. Postal Service has told him that they intend to take special measures to make sure that any ballots that are in transit as we get close to the election will be delivered on time. People can request an absentee ballot until 5 p.m. the day before the election, Scanlon said. The important thing is that if they know they are going to vote absentee, they should get them in as quickly as they can. If they intend to return the ballots by mail, they should get them in the mail right away. Ballots must be received by the local election officials by 5 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd, in order to be counted. People can drop off their absentee ballots at their city or town clerk's office until Election Day, Scanlon said. On Election Day, the ballots must still be delivered to the clerks, but Scanlon said that on that day, a clerk may be at his or her office or may be at the polling place. Scanlon suggested people check in advance with their clerk's office to ensure that those who wait until Election Day properly deliver their ballots to the right place. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, earlier this year, the requirements for voting absentee were relaxed by state officials to allow people to cite a health concern about the virus as an acceptable reason to vote absentee. The change prompted a huge increase in the number of absentee ballots cast in the state primary election on September 8th, and the same is happening in the upcoming general election. According to the Secretary of State's office, as of Tuesday of this week, 200,834 requests for absentee ballots had been made to city and town clerks, and 136,137 ballots have been returned completed. The number of returned ballots is by far a record. The previous high came in the 2016 general election when 75,305 absentee ballots were cast. That was nearly 10% of the 755,850 total votes cast in that election. In the September primary this year, about 30% of the total votes cast were by absentee. Scanlon said the trend for the general election appears to be minoring the primary, and he expects about 30% of the ballots cast to be absentee. He said his office is not yet ready to predict the total turnout for November 3rd. There are now about 1 million registered voters in the state, according to the latest registration numbers reported by Secretary of State's office this week. Scanlon said no major problems are expected in the absentee voting process or the in-person voting process. At the polling places, Scanlon said the lines may look longer because of social distancing, but he expects that they will move just as fast as in any normal election. There may be minor delays, but we expect things to move along, and we don't expect that people will have to stand in line for hours, such as we're seeing in other parts of the country. To move the process more quickly, clerks can open the outer envelopes of the absentee ballots and begin pre-screening beginning next Thursday, as well as on Friday and the following Monday. In the past, pre-screening could not begin until the day of the election, Scanlon said. And that does it for this news report right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this Sunday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this Sunday morning edition. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.